Welcome to Mansfield Matters, your home for all things stat.
Craig's at the mic, his passion's bright, with metaphors you can't ignore, and anagrams that make us groan till everyone starts to moan.
Who is Randy once?
We're the Mansfield Matters crew, making podcasts just for you. Some show up, some disappear, but the Stags bring us all here. Through the ups and downs we stay, talking Mansfield town every day. Where's Nathan gone? He's never on. The blind Stag's late, not gonna wait. Cam's watching Hollyoaks again. He's useless anyway. Let's just begin. We're the Mansfield Matters crew, making podcasts just for you. Some show up, some disappear, but the Stags bring us all here. Through the ups and downs we stay, talking Mansfield town every day. And now, introducing the world's greatest announcer. Alan brings the joy and light, while Clive keeps sense in sight. Nick's got shirts for every day. Jim's our super sub. Hey, hey! The chat rolls on. Your prediction. We give match reports and witty retorts, while Craig reads questions from his list that leave us all feeling pretty miffed. Time's almost up. Done! We're the Mansfield Matters crew, making podcasts just for you. Some show up, some disappear, but the Stags bring us all here. Through the ups and downs we stay, talking Mansfield town every day. That's all for this week. Probably. Ish.
If the season was alphabetized, then this weekend would definitely fall under the letter R. Rain, red cards, and referees again. Usually you don't complain about losing 2-1 with 10 men, but the manner in which Stags lost at Port Vale at the weekend left a sour taste in the mouth, and that's not just people's hair gel running down the face because of the torrential rain. A questionable penalty given in the 90th minute against the Stags saw them lose 2-1 after a superb goal from Rhys Oates got them back in the game following Ryan Sweeney's first half red card. Lots to talk about tonight on the Mansfield Matters podcast. No doubt we'll be doing a lot of defending of Ryan Sweeney. We'll laud Rhys Oates' contribution, and I'm sure we'll have a lot to say about the referees. Plus a very special and exciting announcement from Team Mansfield Matters on the show for the fans, by the fans. This is the Mansfield Matters podcast. Oh, I've got another R. Are you ready? Rant. I do this every week on this new one. I always start talking. I forgot to unmute myself. Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Mansfield Matters podcast. We'll never get nominated for an award. The show for the fans, by the fans. Why? Because Mansfield always matters. Thanks so much for joining us on this Monday evening. I know, Monday nights, what do you usually do? Sit round watching Emmerdale, Coronation Street, Hollyoaks, and that's just Cam's TV wish list. Now, we thought tonight we'd talk all things Mansfield Town. Why? Well, because we're busy for the rest of the week, and Saturday was an absolute washout, and we need to get it out of our systems and, you know, move on ahead of next weekend's game. Joining me to do all of that, let's say hello and good evening to the Mansfield Matters podcast panel tonight. A man who a week or so ago was at sea and seems to be missing it so much he's found the virtual backgrounds and put himself almost beachside. Evening, Clive.
Good evening, Craig. Hello, everybody.
What is that background?
God knows it's something off Microsoft.
Well, there you go.
It looks Greek to me.
I'm sure you'll be flitting between them earlier on and later on and seeing what we've got. Let's say hello, good evening, and welcome to a man who won't care one iota what background Clive's got because he can't see it. It's the Blind Stag. Evening, Mr. Blind Stag.
Evening, Mr. Priest. Evening, everyone.
Also, Mr. Blind Stag, can you just tilt your screen a little bit further forward, please? Because we've got like your chip. That's it. That's better. You're front and
Should have
centre.
done this before we went live. Yeah, we're never going to get an award.
You'd move. We're never going to win an award or get nominated. You'd moved. It was perfect before the start, and then you'd moved. I'd say you knocked it.
Yeah, I'll tell you why. Because I was having to do some DIY whilst you were, because there was someone above my head, apparently, that you're all kicking off about.
I mean, to be fair, for the last few weeks on this podcast, we've thought in your back, we just didn't want to say anything, that in your new home, someone had just taken a hammer to the wall and put a massive hole in it. Turns out it was a sticker above your head, which one of your kids had put there, right?
Yep, absolutely.
So there you go. And also, let's say hello, good evening, and welcome to the man who, before the show, had a packet of Golden Crunch creams, tick, but was mixing them with a can of Monster. What a Monster, and why you were at Rotherham United Football Club.
Down the road.
You're an idiot. I don't even need to introduce who it is. You know what I'm saying when I say it's an idiot. It's Cam. Evening.
Evening.
He switched it back. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of playing around with these backgrounds, throughout the week. Guys, if we continue to play around with backgrounds and mess about during the show, we're never going to get nominated for an award, okay? So we really need to be more professional about this, okay? Right, let's move on, shall we? Let's start by going through the R's, shall we, Clive? Which one shall we start with? Ryan Sweeney, Rain, referees, Rhys Oates. Any more that you want to throw into the mix?
Of that choice, I'd have to go for the ref because he was pretty much one of the worst referees I've seen. He was. I mean, the big thing about referees is that everybody, fans and players, want them to be more consistent, and this guy was giving away all sorts of, letting the player on, which is fair enough. But then when it came to a very, very important 96-minute decision, he reversed away from his previous methods, and we ended up conceding a penalty, which if it had been anywhere else on the pitch wouldn't have even been a free kick, in my opinion. But there you go. That's the sort of look you get.
I have to say, though, Cam, on that, as much as Nigel Clough was very much wanting to throttle the referee at the full time and sort of maybe risked himself getting into a bit of trouble as well, Will Evans should not be giving the referee that decision to make, should he? There was a blatant push from Evans. I'm not saying it was a clear-cut penalty. He was going away from goal. The direction of his movement was going away from the box, and he was running the ball into the corner flag. But Will Evans should keep his hands down. They should not be making a little push there, even to try and get him off the ball. If he pushes his hands out, the referee's got a decision to make. That's poor from Evans from me.
It is, but you just go back to the inconsistency. You look at the goal that we conceded against Stevenage the week before, and it all spanned from Stephen McLaughlin being pushed over and then kicked, and then that wasn't a foul, and that was further up the pitch where it would have been easier to give a foul. It literally is just coming back to that whole thing of the EFL referees this season just being even more inconsistent than they were previously, somehow.
Thing is, though, Nathan, incompetence of referees can be helped by your own team's actions, can't it?
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not saying that I want to throw Will Evans off a cliff like you would have done with Ollie Clark.
That'd be harsh, wouldn't it?
What I'm saying is, be a little bit more clever. I appreciate he was playing out of position and having to do a job for us, but he did not need to do the pushing action. It was poor.
No, I get your argument. It gave the referee a decision, an opportunity to give that decision, but like everyone else has been saying, I mean, I even agree with Cam to a certain extent. Obviously, but the League One, we do get inconsistent referees. I think you do at all levels of the divisions, to be honest. But obviously, the further down the pyramid you get, the worse it is. But take aside from one game to another, you at the very least want consistency from the one referee in the same game, and that was the issue to allow play to allow a lot of challenges to go like they did throughout the match, and then give something so important like that in the last minute of the game was ridiculous. And yes, you could argue that Will Evans shouldn't have given him that opportunity to do it, but it shouldn't have happened anyway. That said, out of all the decisions that they got wrong, which I think the referee wasn't great for either team, he did get the red card right.
Yeah, he did. We'll come on to that in just a second. Let's stick with the Evans thing in a minute. I think I'm going to split the viewers tonight. Carl says, Will Evans is a centre forward playing out of position. What does anyone expect? Mistakes. This playing strikers in defence needs to stop. Can't be doing that at any level. I've got a slight counter argument with that a little bit. I agree that, we shouldn't be doing it on a consistent basis, but I don't think you can count. Playing Bowery there as a striker anymore, if that's what he's suggesting. But I might be wrong. But I think Evans should know better. Is what I'm saying. He should just have a little bit more awareness in and around the edge of the box. And I'll excuse it for him. And I think Clough sort of came out afterwards, didn't he? And he could have very easily sort of thrown him under the bus a little bit and been a little bit more like it's Will's fault. But he didn't. He excused it, and he had a little chat with him afterwards. So it's fine, but just be a little bit more aware, especially when the referee had been so inconsistent like he was, Clive. It is really a 50-50 battle, isn't it?
It is. We just seem to be on the wrong end of these 50-50 decisions, don't we? And that's probably the same plaint you'll hear from every fan around the country, but it just seemed to be the case. And certainly we should have managed that extra time or time added on better than we did. I feel sorry for Fraser Blake-Tracy because he had a cracking game, I thought. Let down badly by his colleague being sent off in the 14th minute. Sweeney's looking a bit of a liability at the moment, but it does give us every encouragement to get Cargill and Dave back, because I think it makes us a far stronger side when they're in the game. But what was your question?
I can't remember, to be honest. It was more of a rant, wasn't it?
Well, no, I was talking about referees, I guess. But I mean, we know the referees are crap, and we get to see quite a few of them. And I'm sure, as I said a moment ago, every fan around the country will say that every referee they get, with the odd exception, are crap. And I don't know how it's got this bad. I don't believe they're ever this bad in the past. Now, whether it's they're being given over-demanding instructions and ever-changing instructions from the League Managers Association, I don't know. Somebody tell me.
The problem is they are, but then they're not implementing them. They're not consistent. You're not getting. I get that every referee is not going to be the same, but same again, you can't criticize a referee now. If you're a manager or a player, you cannot criticize a referee in the public, in the media, because you'll get a ban or a fine for it, which is ridiculous. You can't. At what point do we say like enough's enough because the officiating's got that bad? That you've got both sides complaining that referees were poor. And it's just frustrating because the product of football that we're producing in this country is probably the best in the world. But our officiating is by far one of the worst. You go to European clubs and leagues, and the standards of refereeing is so much higher. And it's ridiculous because they don't have such depth for referees to develop and grow through. You think we've got 5-6 professional leagues and our officiating is still poor.
The problem is with officiating that being a referee is such a horrible thing to do. Nobody wants to go into it. And not one ex-footballer, we had this with James Perch when he was doing his interview in the evening with it a few years back. Not one ex-footballer wants to retire from football to then become a referee. I mean, there's obviously like certain things around it about like, are you going to end up, refereeing a club that you got a dislike for or that you've got teammates still playing for? I get that there's got to be a bit of a circuit breaker in there, but no ex-footballer.
Quinn referee on Saturday, what are you on about?
No ex-footballer ever wants to take up the whistle, and that I think that speaks volumes. And also with referees, outside the Premier League, probably a fair percentage of them actually have normal daytime jobs as well, which to then add that pressure and all the travelling and stuff, there needs to be something more tailored. I know the referees at the top level now are all full-time professionals, but there definitely needs to be something running down at least to League 2 level, whereby there's a bit more quality control over referees or whatever. I don't know what it is, but yeah, that's a different debate for another day, isn't it? From people that are more qualified than us to talk about. Because if I could ask every single one of you on this podcast, would you want to be a professional referee in the EFL in today's day and age? And I guarantee you'd all say no, apart from Cam, who would say yes just to make me look an idiot.
Well, no, I'm already a referee, so
not a very good one.
I'd say yeah, because I'd do a better job than him on at Port Vale. So
says a lot.
There you go. Right, shall we talk about another R? Which R do you want to go for, Nathan? Do you want to go for Ryan Sweeney, Rhys Oates, Rain?
Let's get the bad stuff out of the way first, shall we? Let's go for Ryan Sweeney. Seems Cam's on. Clive's on. There's too many C's. Clive's already brought it up.
It's an interesting. I'm probably on a lone hill here. I'm probably one of very few that will defend Ryan Sweeney to the hilt. It's fair to say that he's not had the best of starts since returning from Burton in the summer on a free transfer. I was really excited when we brought him back in on a 2-year deal in the close season. I thought he was exactly the sort of player that we needed, but for whatever reason, it hasn't worked out for him, whether it's been a knock, whether it's been not being able to play in the right position or whatever. And then, Saturday goes and happens. Saturday for me, Nathan, was the prime opportunity for him to come out, have a great game, and really cement his place back in the side, which I thought he did in the previous league game the week before. I thought he was excellent in that game. I thought it was another opportunity for him to go on and do the same. But it's his pace which lets him down. And unfortunately, he's the type of defender who, in today's way of refereeing and playing football and the rules of the game, is going to get penalised more times than anything because he's a very handsy defender. He shirt pulls, he tries to grab hold, he's physical. And unfortunately, you have to put a little bit of blame on the right side of defence leading up to the red card, because they go and lose the header. So Sweeney has to step up and he's slightly out of position covering. And unfortunately, he gets turned for pace and brings him down. It's an absolute no-brainer. It is a clear red card. But it could have happened to anyone other than Sweeney, couldn't it? I just felt like it was another, blotch on the copy paper for him.
Yeah, even Clough did admit to it in a press conference a couple of weeks ago, saying that Sweeney hasn't quite settled in for whatever reason. I don't know if he means that literally. It's probably a figure of speech, as in obviously his performance levels aren't quite where we would want. It's made it harder to leave him out, the fact that he is captain. I think that always makes it more challenging. But at the moment, I just think for whatever reason, it's clear to see that his performances aren't great. Even though I like you, thought last week he had maybe started to settle in a little bit. But yeah, his pace is letting him down a little bit. I think maybe when he was at Burton, obviously they was in a massive relegation scrap for the majority of the season when he was there. So the chances are they'd have been a bit more under the cosh, lying a bit deeper back, in defence, and that would probably suit him a little bit more. Whereas what we're seeing at the moment is he's getting turned around a lot, and he hasn't got the pace to deal with that. And I just think he's getting found out a lot. So as we saw on Saturday, but regardless of whether he's got the pace or not to deal with it, I think the decision to foul in that situation so early on in the game, risking a red card, was terrible decision making. It'd have been better letting him go, see if Roberts could have sorted it out 1-on-1, or anything could have happened. Even if we went 1-0 down, it's better to go down 1-0 down with 11 on the pitch than 0-0 with 10, in my opinion.
Yeah, it is. Cam, where do you sit on Captain Sweeney?
I'm very much on the fence, as in...
Of course you are.
We know he's a good player. I think that's the most frustrating thing, but I think that's just the case whenever we bring a player in, or we bring a former player back, or we get a player back from injury and they're not performing. We know that they're a good player. And we know what he can bring to the team. And like Craig said, it's just the fact that he is captain very much has the magnifying glass more on him.
Mm.
But you've also got to look at it the other way. Like Nathan also said about being at Burton and sort of like being sort of like always on the back foot and sort of like always being a bit further deep in the field. When we're playing in the style of football we're playing, the two players either side of him, whether we're playing a 2 as a 3 or a 4 at the back, the players directly either side of him, a lot of the time, aren't there. You've got Bailey Cargill going off on random runs and just getting into the midfield and making great passes. Fraser and Macca are exactly the same. On the other side, you've got Hewitt or Noyle or Bowery all making runs and passes up that side. It very much feels like it's just not... I don't know. Like whether the style doesn't suit him. Like, granted, we can be on the back foot in games a lot, but a lot of the time then we're defending corners and free kicks, which then it's more of a unit thing. But when we're in a back line and we're being caught on the counter, because those players are pushing further up, like Craig said, because the midfield have lost, or that right-hand side have lost the ball because they've been pushing further forward, that's then leaving us exposed at the back. But I don't know how you solve that problem, because we are more effective when players like Jordan Bowery and Kyle Noyle, Elliot Hewitt, Fraser and Macca, whoever, are pushing further up that side or making passes through the middle or just stepping up a little bit. Whereas that is not Ryan Sweeney's game and never has been. He's never been a great passer of the ball, but he's been a physical and strong presence in the box and dealing with long balls.
Sorry, Cameron, you made me think about something. There's a lot of similarities between him and Flint in one respect, in that both of them are really good when the ball's coming to them.
They're headers, aren't they?
They're
physical
both
presence.
Dominating central defenders. When the ball's in the air and they're facing the ball, they're pretty much as good as you can get at this level. But take them out of that particular part of their role and they have weaknesses. Flint was found out. Again, it probably to do with age as much as anything. He hadn't got the versatility and speed to get back once he'd lost his comfortable position, and I'm seeing a bit of that in Sweeney at the moment.
Yeah, it's an interesting one in terms of when you come in, you come back, and you've got that tag of playing for Burton, a side who are predominantly a side lower down the table. It carries it. Oh, we just signed a player just to try and keep us up. Then that sort of mentality with it, but I think he has got the quality there. He's definitely had a struggled start for one reason or another. I do think when Dave's back and he plays alongside Sweeney in maybe a back four, I think that might bring Sweeney's game up a little bit. He just needs to find his rhythm and find his feet a little bit. I know Marie in the comments said that Sweeney's no better than Flint or Kilgore. And I agree to that to some extent, but what you've done there is highlighted my point quite well in that Flint or Kilgore, we had two players vying for one position. Well, we've got rid of them both of which would have been on higher money. And I think that Sweeney won't be. I don't think Sweeney will be on as much as those combined. And I think he'll probably only be on slightly more than half of their, if you know what I mean. So I think we're paying less money to get the same player with a little bit extra. I do think when we're a little bit more finding our rhythm and we've got players back fit and available, I think he'll be a good presence for us in both boxes like he was previously. And I think, like Matt has said in the comment as well, that the trick is keeping the ball better, something which we haven't been doing lately, Nathan. We've struggled to keep hold of it, whether that's been missing players. Obviously, we had McDonnell missing a few weeks ago at Wickham. We missed, we didn't have Lewis Reed on Saturday at Port Vale either. And the way in which Nigel Clough wants to play very much relies on us keeping the ball. And I think, if we are able to hold onto the ball better, players like Sweeney, who are being put under the microscope at the minute for making mistakes, won't be making as many.
Yeah. I mean, you've obviously Cam made the example a few minutes ago how when we have the likes of Cargill on, who likes to step out with the ball, and Bowery as well on the other side to a certain extent. that is all well and good. But if we're not going to keep the ball in midfield, and if we are losing it and get turned over quickly, which is what's been happening, we spoke about it last week. How we've been really poor from our own throw-ins, for example. I think there's been 3 goals recently where they've, quite recently come, after one of our own throw-ins that we've given away, and that's them then turning over possession quickly. We're not set, which is then exposing the players like Sweeney, who's who probably would be better if when he's set, you'd probably fancy him against to do the job that he's set out to do. Whereas if it's being turned around and being pulled to the left and to the right and etc., then that's where he's exposed and that's where he's struggling. So, yes, certainly if we can sort out our midfield a bit better as well and keeping the ball higher up the pitch, then obviously the opposition can't hurt you when we've got the ball. So we have got improvements to make there as well.
Let's move on to something slightly more positive, Clive, and that is the fact that when we did go down to 10 men, I thought we defended superbly well.
We did, and I think it's such a pity, having defended so well for so long, and then got a really cracking goal from Rhys Oates, that we should sacrifice it the way we did. But let's be clear, both teams were poor on the day. I thought it was a poor game of football, not aided by the weather, obviously. And I'm prepared to write this one off as just a bad day at the office. I think that's going to be one of those things. We'll move away. We hadn't got our strongest team. We let ourselves down in key areas. I think next week's a different game, and we move on. But the positives, I guess, is we defended like we see a lot of teams do when they go down to 10 players. Because if you look at the stats, you can see what was happening. We were just behind everything, and that's what you have to do. And then rely on a breakaway or a free kick or set play. And we could have snatched it. We could have. Well, I don't think we deserved to win, but we could have certainly snatched the point, and we ought to have done, really.
Yeah, I think we're definitely worthy of a point, Cam. We'll talk more about Oates and his impact in a second, but let's stick with the defensive performance for a minute. Very unlucky, really, to go and concede. It was always going to happen. They were always going to try and turn the dial up at some point, but to restrict them in the first half, especially when we go down to 10 men, to pop shots from 35, 40 yards really spoke volumes. Yeah, we were never going to get the ball up the pitch in defending, but that was never going to be the game plan. When you go down to 10 men in those circumstances, sit behind the ball, frustrate the opposition, and then try and nick it. And it very, very nearly worked.
It did. And I think you've got to look at it the other way. Like you said, restricting them to pop shots. And even their first goal was just a little bit of poor defending from us. Ball in and it's bundled home. Just not dealt with the ball coming in. Maybe Roberts could have done better. Maybe defensively we could have been stronger and dealt with it. But it is what it is. We'd got 10 men. We were under the cosh.
There's always a reason for every goal you concede.
Yeah.
I mean, you could blame Noyle. He lost his player at a key moment. That happens in football. And it's up to the rest of the team to deal with it.
It does. And we responded well. And we, like we said, we just kept them to the outside of the box. Didn't create all that much. You look at the possession stats and they're ludicrous, but they didn't do anything with it. And then same, like you look at the way that we reacted. Obviously, we were still able to create chances even with 10 men. We score an absolute worldie of a goal. Where Rhys Oates has been keeping that, I don't know. Oh yeah, injured. But then just to throw it all well, it's just that real gut punch of all that hard work, thinking we've rescued a point with 5 minutes to go. Just bloody see it out.
Of course, it was Port Vale. It had to be Port Vale, though, didn't it?
Always Port Vale.
Exactly. I think the key thing, though, is like Clive said earlier, Nathan, it's to write that one off. We can't change it. We can't alter the referee's decision. We can't get it replayed. We can't change anything in the game. What we can do, though, is have a count up and then very quickly realise, hang on a minute, we're in a bit of trouble here, because like Matt has put in the comments, he says, I'm worried about centre-backs for our next game. Dave, Cargill already out, Sweeney suspended, Barrow went off with a hip injury. We are really going to have a struggle to have a count up. I put together a bit of a a back four for next week's game. And I don't think it'll be far off from this, to be honest, on Saturday, Nathan. Noyle at right back, McDonnell will drop into centre back, Blake Tracy alongside him, and then McLaughlin at left back, because we are struggling, aren't we? We are very, very short.
Yeah, unless we get some sort of surprise with the likes of Hewitt or somebody managing to come back and, I don't know, even getting 45 minutes in, it is looking like it's going to pick itself, because there's nobody else left to fill in those slots. So that certainly is a concern going forward.
But Jordan hasn't been ruled out, has he?
He hasn't, no. But obviously, he did go off with a confirmed injury. So he's going to be a risk, isn't he? Or he's going to be.
He doesn't go off lightly, does he? Clough does not take Barry off lightly, and
no,
Jordan Barry's one of the last players, isn't he?
No, and he's not one that gets injured a lot either. So let's just hope it is a knock, and because he's not one that gets injured that much, it hopefully means there's a quick recovery as well. So, because I think he would be another huge loss. I mean, with what we've praised him a lot this season. I think everybody has, because he's really been one of the outstanding performers consistently through the season so far. So it'd be a big loss to miss him, but yeah, in a more broader scheme, as in regards to Saturday, moving on from that, obviously it was gutting, but there are those other positives to take from it. So hopefully we, despite being up against it numbers wise, which sometimes galvanizes us a little bit and improves us defensive wise going forward. So it could have the opposite effect, where we come together and defend better.
Yeah, absolutely, it could. Right, we'll talk Rhys Oates in a minute, but a few people have thrown Ryan Sweeney under the bus, Clive. Right, we are very positive, I think, on this podcast. I think 99% of the time. I don't think I've ever created a scapegoat on this podcast, and I feel bad and I feel dirty for doing it, but. Can anyone answer me the question, what does little Nobby Welsh bring to Mansfield Town Football Club? What does he contribute?
Energy.
When's he bringing that? We've not seen it yet.
Just runs around. That's all he does.
Listen,
Really
I'm sure he's a lovely guy, right? But for large parts of Saturday at Port Vale, especially in that first half, it was like playing with 9 men. Because I don't know what he did. And even when we're 11v11, Clive, I'm struggling to see what is, other than an impact sub versus, an impact sub for the last 10, 15 minutes with a bit of pace. I'm struggling.
I am as well. At worst, he looks disinterested. Maybe it's just style. I don't know. But he certainly doesn't seem to... I've watched him play when he should be taking a player with him, and he doesn't seem interested. He never seems to attach himself to anybody. Now I know he's got a certain amount of talent, and we wouldn't have taken him on if we didn't see some talent in him. But his work rate doesn't seem to be there. Now it could be that it's happening, and I'm not seeing it because I'm no expert. Oh, by the way, on the subject of rain, and the Blackburn game got abandoned last week with about 10 minutes to go because the pitch was flooded. Some wag on their podcast said they should have brought the subs on. Got it? Get it? Subs on, flooded, subs.
Hang on a minute. Hang on.
It's
No.
It's Lancashire humour.
Hang on. Breaking news from the Mansfield Matters Podcast desk. A man who has retired has made one of the worst jokes ever known to man. By parking on Monday, the 22nd of September at 7 minutes past 8, made a reference to bringing subs on, which nobody else in the universe understood.
It's not my fault that my co-panelists are thick.
Founding member of the podcast, Nathan Edge, had this comment to say.
We've been talking about referees already in this podcast. I think it's time to issue another red.
Fellow founding member of the Mansfield Matters Podcast, Cam Felton, also had this to say.
As if this week couldn't get any worse. I've just got a really bad sinking feeling.
And in response to Cam's horrendous follow-up. The perpetrator of the horrendous joke, Clive Parkin, had this to say.
Stick it up your periscope.
Ooh.
Mansfield Matters will be undertaking an internal inquiry to figure out where the root of these jokes come from and ensure that in future podcasts there will be no terrible references to Lancashire-based humour, which nobody understands. That's the latest from the Mansfield Matters news desk. It's 8 minutes past 8 on Monday, the 22nd of September. I'm a former newsreader.
In response to that joke,
I thought people quite enjoyed the breaking news feature last week, so I thought I'd bring it back. Right, what were we talking about?
Nathan Mariah Welsh.
Oh, do we have to? I'd order that.
Little
Oh,
Nobby
great
Welsh,
first
if
name,
you
that's
don't
about
mind.
it.
Yeah. But first, Little Nobby Welsh, get it right. Secondly, I think that 90-second ad-libbed feature has had more of an impact this season than Little Nobby Welsh. So let's move on, shall we? Is it our fault for calling him Little Nobby Welsh? I've also been thinking that I'd rather have her on Boateng. But don't tell Nick. Right, anyway, moving on, shall we?
No, we're not that desperate.
Let's talk Rhys Oates, Nathan, because he surprisingly at the weekend was included on the bench, then came on, scored a fantastic goal, and in the process clocked up his 100th appearance for the club. He's been here longer than that. He could have easily been on 250, 300 by now, couldn't he?
Oh, I'm gutted for him in the sense because he gets so much stick because of the fact that he gets injured so much. But if he didn't, what a player he is! Because you could easily think of so many occasions like that. So, I mean, that'll be forgotten because obviously, eventually we end up getting nothing from it. But you think back, Sheff Wednesday, Chesterfield, Sunderland. There's so many Doncaster, so many occasions where you can say he's just done something individual to
Colchester at home in the playoff season.
Yeah, you could. They just come to your head, don't they? Just there's so many occasions you don't really have to think about it. He's that player who, for me, gets you off the edge of your seat a little bit like CJ did. He's got that pace. He's got that raw talent there. And he's got a finish to go with it as well. And I say as well, he's created some goals as well. When you look back at some highlights from the promotion season when he was fit and playing, there were so many occasions when he got to the deadline and got the ball, it got a crossing and somebody's on the end of it. If he was fit and we had him every for a full season, I think it would make obviously a massive difference to us. So I am gutted that he does keep getting injured. Hopefully he can get over it, but I see why Cloughie stood by him when a lot of people wouldn't, because even when you do have him, half fit or 30% fit or whatever he is, he can still come on and make a difference like he did on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. Clive, you can, like Nathan said there, you can really see why Nigel Clough wants to keep him around, can't you? Because he's just got that 5-10% of a burst which will just do something out of nowhere.
Everybody at the club, every fan, every member of the staff must want him to be successful and to shed this recent history of injuries, because he has something that no one else can bring at the moment. And it showed for his cameo performance again on Saturday. But I think Cam dug up a stat the other day that he's clocking up 100 performances for the Stags, but he's got very nearly 100 matches lost to injury in the same since he's been with us. Now, no club can really afford that, so I think the club's really banking on him getting over this latest injury, and I think everybody wants him to. I certainly would love to see him putting 30 or more matches in a season, and it would make a big difference to our goal scoring rate, because that's that willingness to shoot and able to shoot with both feet and having that burst of pace is something no one else is offering at the moment.
Is that powerful centre forward which we've been lacking when he's not been available, and when he's not available, you do miss him. It's only when he comes on in these cameos that you realise what a player he is for us, Cam. And it's very frustrating because if he'd have been fit and available for those performances, you think last season we might have scored more goals and not been in the struggle that we were towards that. The year we got promoted, we might have been a little bit more comfortable at times as well. And even then, you look and think, well, if it had stayed fit and available and scoring goals, it would have also turned into something else for us, and that is a sellable asset. And it could have easily gone on to play comfortably at a high level. But it's just that fitness and that injury-prone nature to him, which just makes him a massive red flag for everyone else, and it's a huge risk for us as well.
Yeah, literally. The other, like Clive said, there was a start. Obviously, Jordan Bowery clocked up to 250. Rhys joined the season after Jordan did, so by that virtue, it'd be approaching 200. Yes.
Yeah. I'll go along with your logic.
Your brain was proper ticking, but I know math isn't your strong point. So
my brain wasn't listening.
Oh, fair enough. But it's so frustrating because it literally is. We know he's got bags of talent and bags of ability, but like you said, it's just that red flag of just being injured all the time. And like you said, he could have become a sellable asset. I think he definitely would have, because we know he can just create something out of nothing. He not really got all that much on Saturday. There wasn't really anybody up there with him with anything that they could have done. They were either crowded out or they were in the wrong position, and he's just cut back inside and just stuck it top bins. Like, it's just a stunning goal out of absolutely nothing. And you'd be thinking, like, it's absolutely incredible. He's just come back from not far off a year out again, collectively. And it's to do that the first time he stepped foot on the pitch, he's brilliant, and we just need to keep him fit. And like you said, it's just that little bit of explosive energy that he can create. And we look so flat, for example, going on the counter from a set piece, or bar the previous weekend's goal against Stevenage. Usually we look really flat on the counter.
Yeah.
And like Craig said about that Colchester home game from the playoff season, just being able to do something like that, just going on an absolute mad run. Even if he doesn't do anything on the end of it, if he doesn't go up and score, that at least gets us up the pitch and alleviates that pressure. And that's something that we struggled with, definitely with, towards the end of last season, because how much of how many minutes of a 90-minute game were we just penned in our own 18-yard box because we could not get the ball out? As soon as we got it out, it'd come straight back again. And there was nobody to chase it and run.
The big question for Nigel Clough is, though, can he play centre-back? We'll find out on Saturday. Right, don't go anywhere. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk EFL Development Week. We're going to talk podcast predictions, and we're going to talk huge news.
We're the Mansfield Matters crew, making podcasts just for you. Some show up, some disappear, but the Stags bring us all here. Through the ups and downs we stay, talking Mansfield Town every day.
You're back with the show for the fans, by the fans. This is the Mansfield Matters Podcast. Thanks for joining us on this Monday night. So if you're, if you usually watch us on a Thursday, head out to the theatre or something. Go and do something different this Thursday night, because we won't be on. Or you could just watch old repeats of our previous podcasts and figure out why it is in 9 series of the podcast that we've never been nominated or shortlisted for an award. Still can't figure that one out. Right, it's EFL Youth Development Week this week, apparently. And earlier on today, the club put on a lovely video of behind the scenes, and one player in particular in Finn Flanagan, who was also on the bench on Saturday at Port Vale due to numerous injuries that we've got. Obviously, no Lewis Reed on Saturday. George Marish wasn't available. Various others as well. So Finn Flanagan got the nod to be on the bench. Shame he didn't get on. I think maybe at 11v11 he might have got some minutes, but didn't quite get on. But anyway, it was a nice little insight into All Things Academy. Now, I know, Clive, I'm going to come to you and you're going to go, well, they never make it through. It's never fruitful. But the video itself has given a little bit of insight into what happens. And you do get a sense that, we are starting to tick things over with players coming through.
Well, 2 weeks ago, I got an afternoon with nothing to do, so I had a ride up to Woburn Road, and I bumped into Steve Chettle, and he's a nice chap, and I had a good conversation with him, and I shared with him, the popular view that from the terraces that there's no future for youth players. They don't get past the second hurdle. And he said, well, that seems to have been historically the case, but he still believes that the project is in its infancy, and therefore it's going to take probably a year or two more to see any real product from the investment they've made up there. And that's exactly what Clough's been saying as well, to a certain extent. But sooner or later, somebody has to come out that project and find their way on the main playing field. And like you, I think if we'd had a more comfortable game to experience, he'd have had a few minutes on the pitch. What's his best position, by the way, Flanagan?
Well, historically, he's been a central midfielder when he's played, and he played.
He might be playing on Saturday then.
Well, the thing is though, he played there. He played there in the Nothing Trophy game against Harrogate. But in pre-season, when we were experimenting with this three at the back, for some reason, Clough was sticking him as a centre back.
Yeah, it's probably versatile. But if he's the first one to make it, then all credit to him, and credit to the club for having the patience to put together a youth policy that clearly doesn't give any instant return on investment. But I'm like everyone else. I just think there should be quicker. Maybe we're not realistic. I don't know. Back in my day, if kids were good enough, they got a chance. And back in my day, nobody came off injured. Unless your leg actually came off, you carried on till half time or full time. In fact, there was a case one year when one of the Mansfield players, his leg was completely removed in a tackle, and he put it under his arm and hopped around till half time because there were no subs in those days.
The thing is, though, Cam, there is work that's going off up at RH Academy to try and bring these young players through. The 21 setup is fairly decent now. We've got a good set of players, but again, it is going to take maybe another 2 years or so. But it all comes down to as well how you see this whole academy setup coming through, because I think Flanagan's probably the one who's got the most opportunity to try and break in. It's a position which Nigel Clough will suit the way he plays. He seems to like him. He's been in and around it since the year that we got promoted as well. So it's not just like an overnight thing for him either. But it's just that whole timing thing. But at the same time, your academy isn't always judged on success by those who actually make it through to the first team environment. It's those who make it out the door to other football clubs, and we actually coin something in for them as well. So, it's playing the percentages, Cam.
Yeah, two things that noticed. Obviously, Clive said about, and you said about playing him at centre back for Harrogate. Clearly, Nigel Clough knew. He is like Mystic Meg, and knew that he's going to have to play centre-back at some point in the season. So he's just trying him out. And secondly, yeah, like you said, it literally is a case of, even if he doesn't he might not make a senior appearance for us. You look at other clubs, though, and they don't make a senior appearance, and they're going off for 100 and something K. Crew do it quite often. Wimbledon's academies quite successful.
Peterborough, they're one who tend to bleed them into the first team, and they have. You look at their sort of record. They have probably 2 or 3 seasons, a little bit like last year, where they're a little bit low on the youth intake, or it's the first year or so of them coming through. But 2 or 3 years' time, they'll be competing again. Yeah,
exactly, and it's just that it's not always down to what's going to be best for us. It's as in on the pitch, it might work out a players better financially than they are as an asset to us. And I think Finn's lucky in the position that he plays, because these, in the nicest possible way, there's not that jeopardy involved in playing midfield as much.
Yeah.
If you're a centre back, you cannot let goals in, and if you let goals in, you're seen as a failure, or you mark down on it. If you're a striker and you don't score goals, then you're seen as a failure. Whereas a midfield, you've not quite got that. As long as you can pass the ball or link up play, which sounds like I'm saying it as if it's not doesn't mean anything, but there's not that pressure there. You can just go out and just do your job. And you could say that about a centre-back or a striker or a goalkeeper, but there is jeopardy at both ends of the pitch. If you're a defender, you've got to defend, and goalkeepers have got to save. Strikers have got to score. Midfielders can just coast by and just do the dirty work, do the grinding, and it's not a problem. And I think it's just...
With a what?
Just grinding
You've been
out.
on the apps again?
That's Clive. Anyway, it's just the fact that we've got to this position where we're having to rely on youth players again. And I get that we're very much on the upper limit of who we can bring into the club because of squad positions. But for God's sake, somebody sort this injury thing out, please. How is everybody injured constantly?
Can I just respond slightly? First thing, I don't know what grinder is. Secondly, it's worth pointing out
that you have in your kitchen, isn't it? You put it over your seat. That's
yeah,
what you can lay a mountain
top
in.
Yeah. But in all fairness to the football club, the 3 loanees we've got from Nottingham Forest, they've had 2 more years in their development system than the players we're talking about at Field Mill or at RH Academy. So I think that's a balance to the frustration and the impatience that we all exhibit.
Yeah, and I think it's... Go on, Nate.
I was going to say, there is one point you've got to look at it as well. I know we're all wanting more instant results, and it is taking a while, but you look at the last few seasons in particular, we now actually do have some homegrown players who are playing Football League now. Not for us, but Alistair Smith, he's one. Jimmy Knowles, James Gale, George Cooper, they're all sort of playing at a relatively good level.
Keaton Ward.
Keaton Ward. If you go back 10 years prior to those ones coming through, all we had as a prospect was probably Jack Thomas, who, he had some cracking performances for us, but he ended up playing for Baseford. No disrespect to him or anything, but that was sort of his level, and that was what we were able to produce.
I think the thing is,
we are now getting Football League players coming through. It's just going to take a bit longer.
Yeah, I think the thing is, if you look at that time as well, we kind of are a little bit like, it's frustrating to look back because you think, actually, we had a really good group then. We had the likes of Liam Marsden coming through, Jack Thomas as well, who all did get in the first team under Adam Murray, but we just didn't have the academy set up in place to actually develop them properly at that time. Whereas if we'd have had them now, they'd be out on loan, they'd be playing sort of conference national, and they'd be really knocking on the door by now. So, really are damned if you don't. But I think Clive's right in what he says as well. Forest 2-3 years down the line in terms of their players' development, and we're getting the fruits of that with a good relationship in terms of being able to bring their players through and really, really bed them in. We now need to be putting the working blocks in place to do that and have relationships with, local clubs that are local to us at a good level and really sending them out on loan. For example, is it Worksop who managed to get themselves into the Conference North, didn't they, I think?
Yes. Yeah.
So we should have a relationship with them. We should be sending them players out on loan. And to my knowledge, we haven't. Alfreton's another one, similar level. Boston, local-ish. There's definitely clubs around here we should be sending players to and having better relationships with lower down the pyramid and doing what Forest have done and having a feeder lower network. And, like Simon says in the comments as well, there's also lots of local competition for the best young talent. And we're slowly working our way up to try and get ahead of, be better than Notts County's Academy, be better than Derby's, be better than Forest's, and give a better choice. So slowly catchy monkey, or softly catchy monkey, whatever the phrase may be. And we will move on from that. Right, we're going to do podcast predictions early because we're going to save news to the very, very end. So time for
the game of the luck. Who gives up? Don't mess it up. I hear you say, how do you play? Win, lose or draw, then pick a score and one more thing. Pick a hero, don't score zero. That's the game. But we're not fools. This game has rules. It gets on time, you'll be fine. Remember the rhyme. Walk the best predictions. progress on time. You'll be fine. Remember the rhyme. The Death Predictions.
Right, podcast predictions time then. First and foremost, let's get the results from the weekend out of the way, shall we? There are 3 people who channeled their inner Mystic Meg and decided that we were going to lose at Port Vale and lose 2-1. They were Nick of Mansfield Town shirts fame, Chris Vincent and Simon Wilson. However, Nick of Mansfield Town shirts fame fell foul to a player not playing. So the winners on Saturday were Chris Vincent and Simon Wilson with 17 points apiece. As we say, Nick did guess correctly the scoreline, but his prediction of Lewis Reeder's captain lost him 5 points as he didn't play, so he only actually picked up 10 points in the end. Best pick of the players on Saturday were Rhys Oates, who would have got you 7. Liam Roberts got you 5. Max Dickoff got you 4. FBT got you 3. Evans, Barry, McDonnell, Mariah Welsh, Little Nobby Welsh, and Tyler Roberts got you 2. Dwyer, Noyle, Gardner, Lewis, McAdam, McLaughlin got you 1. And if you went for Sweeney, you got -2, -5 for everybody else. Current leaders in the Mansfield Matters group: Clive is in 3rd place with 59 points. Jim is in 2nd place with 63. And I'm still in the lead on 66. And the current overall top 3: Simon Wilson in 3rd with 93. Olivia Wilson has managed to get over the 100-point mark. She's now on 104 points in 2nd. And Matt Pearce, 1 point ahead on 105, leads the way at the top. The full table will be revealed on next week's podcast as we round off September's month. Right, let's do predictions for Rotherham then. A side who haven't had the start they wanted in Sky Bet League 1. They sit in 21st place, 7 points on the board so far. And up first on predictions, win, lose or draw, Mr. Felton.
Helps if I unmute the mic. Win.
Score.
3-0.
And who will be your hero?
Jamie McDonald.
Clive, you're up next.
Stags 2, Millers 1, Fraser, Blake, Tracy.
FBT fly spray. Nathan.
Draw. 1-1. Liam Roberts.
I am going to go for a 3-1 win. And Liam Roberts will be my fantasy captain. A reminder, if you want to play along with podcast predictions, you can do so via the link that's in the description. And a reminder that you must submit your guesses no later than 1 hour and 30 minutes before kickoff, aka 90 minutes before kickoff. And you can't choose the same player 2 weeks in a row, otherwise you get deducted points. Right. We've got some news. Nathan, what have you been up to?
I don't know what you're on about.
That's rubbish music. I'll go with this one. Still rubbish, I think.
Yeah, come on. This is why we're never going to get nominated for any awards.
No, we're not, are we?
Or are
right,
we?
go on.
Or are we?
I don't know, are we?
Listen,
you tell me.
guys. The news is, I mean, we've all been criticising, the captain of Mansfield Town, for the display he put in, the performance he put in on Saturday. But one captain we can't criticise is the captain of this podcast, Mr. Craig Priest.
Oh,
and I feel it's been 9 years. 9 years now. We haven't had any recognition whatsoever. Well, maybe that's about to change. Because we've been nominated, albeit self-nominated, but we've been nominated.
Hey, that's irrelevant. That's irrelevant.
For a very exciting football content award in the Football League podcast category. Very exciting.
So, unbeknownst to all of us on the podcast, Nathan, a few months ago, decided to enter Mansfield Matters, clearly feeling the guilt of not being on the podcast for about 4 years, decided to enter Mansfield Matters into the Football Content Awards. then forgot that he did exactly that and didn't tell any of us that he did that. And then a week or so ago, got an email to say that not only had his nomination been looked and thought at, but also that we'd been shortlisted. So this is actually really big news, because the Football Content Awards are, well, they're
huge.
They are absolutely huge, to be fair. So first and foremost, let's tell you a little bit more about what the Football Content Awards is. Football, of course, as we know, is the most passionate vertical on earth, stirring the passion, pain, and joy of millions of fans across the globe, uniting all to the beats of a single ball. The Football Content Awards are the awards ceremony celebrating the best in online football media. They recognise and reward all content creators and online media companies in football, from the independent creators to the media organisations, small and large. They congratulate the best in class for the football content we see daily. There are numerous different categories, and this year there's been over 29,000 nominations and more than 2,000 entries across 32 categories, and a panel of over 30 judges have meticulously reviewed each submission to select the very best in football content. The way the voting works is going to be a 50-50 split between expert judges and your fan votes at home, and voting is now open. And I can reveal that we have, as Nathan said, been voted for the best podcast in the Football League. So the Football Content Awards 2025 is thrilled to reveal the finalists for the best podcast Football League category. These podcasts have showcased exceptional creativity, in-depth analysis, and a genuine passion for football, making them standout choices in a highly competitive field. So my first question is, Nathan, why are we nominated?
I don't know, when you read it out like that.
Can I just interject? I've got a question which has nothing to do with the nomination. Can someone explain to me why Cam's got no ears?
Oh, he's done something stupid with his background. He's put like a thing on his background.
Award. That's exciting.
This is exactly why we're not going to win.
Yeah, that in-depth analysis that's gone.
Exactly, that's out the window. It's funny. So there are a number of different podcasts nominated. However, out there, as we know, there are millions of football podcasts, 98% of which probably cover Wrexham. So just to make the shortlist is absolutely phenomenal and fantastic. So thank you so much to those on the panel who have somewhat selected Nathan's AI entry for us to get into the podcast. You'll realise why it's AI in a minute, because I'm going to read out the nominations. Here's who we're up against. Okay, stiff competition. I think, you know, it'll be phenomenal to win it. I don't think we will. I'm just chuffed to bits that we've actually made it to the shortlist. So please go and vote. More on that in a second. Right, let's have a little look at those who are nominated then. So the first one is 72 Cast. This is their description. A sharp 30-minute weekly hit for EFL fans. Hosts Lucas Yeomans and Matt Watts blend clear analysts with player, pundit and fan voices, giving the Championship, League One and League Two the spotlight they deserve. A strong social presence, news on X, thoughtful debate on Instagram, keeps supporters plugged in between episodes. Professional, accessible and passionately EFL first.
Sounds boring.
The next one is A Trip to the Moon, which is, I mean, fair play to them for doing this. 3 shows a week dedicated to Tranmere Rovers. Match reviews, midweek roundups, and exclusive interviews with former players, managers, and club figures. Journalist Matt Jones balances smart analysis with real supporter voices and timely specials. From deadline day to chairman chats, consistent, credible, and loved by fans at home and abroad. A Chung Millwall podcast is next. The definitive Millwall fan voice since 2013. Nick Hart's 1,100 plus episode catalogue mixes analyst interviews and humour with a deep fanzine heritage, and every penny raised goes to charity. Over 12k so far. Fair play to them, to be fair. Featured by the club and and national outlets. It's authentic, community-minded and fiercely Millwall. All About Ours is next. A rising QPR creator capturing the away day graft and Loftus Road emotion with raw, in-the-moment videos. Young, dedicated and relentlessly present. He brings supporters into the stands with him, bottling the atmosphere, the swings, the stories that make QPR fandom what it is. All Leeds TV is another competitor. Grassroots Leeds United media done right. Debates, ratings, tactical breakdowns, and transfers delivered by fans with credibility. Regular podcasts and YouTube uploads boosted by TikTok and socials, keeping the community informed and involved. Passionate yet balanced, a trusted hub for Leeds United conversations. All things sky blue.
Sorry, can I just say, how has a Leeds one made it into the Football League? They're a Premier League club.
That's a very good point.
Get them out. Wrong category. Get them out.
Can I just ask the question? The awards night, is that taking place in Leeds by any chance?
Yes.
Yeah, that is also very true.
There you go there. And question answered.
All Things Sky Blue is another nominee by Coventry fans for Coventry fans. Heard that strapline before. A 5-strong team, we can do better than that, spans YouTube, X Spaces and podcast feeds with multiple previews, reviews and club history, plus standout interviews with ex-players, multiple viewpoints, forgotten stories and youth prospect chat. Makes this a complete Sky Blues companion. Blade Ramble, Jimmy Ramble Smith has built a welcoming, inclusive Sheffield United community. Match vlogs, watch-alongs, and playful formats like 10-minute transfers and view from the mountain, plus cameos from Dave the Nose and Dad Andy the Blade. From kitchen streams to a full studio with mental health-minded openness, professional, heartfelt, and very Blades. League One Lowdown is next. The go-to twice-weekly show for League One. News, context and conversation for the third tier's relentlessly busy calendar. Simple, reliable and indispensable.
Yeah, I've seen that one. That's rubbish as well.
I've never heard of that one.
Life of a Kit Man. Swindon Town's kit team lift the lid on one of football's unseen roles. A podcast packed with player interviews sits alongside TikToks that show the day-to-day graft. Engaging, inventive, and inspiring, bringing supporters closer to the club while encouraging kit crews everywhere to tell their story. Then something about Mansfield Matters Podcast. Going to read their blurb in a little bit. Me, the wife from Wrexham FC. There's a Wrexham one on there, obviously. What, Cam?
Can we skip this one?
Husband and wife double act capturing Wrexham with heart. Ryan's decades of fandom meet Sean's fresh eyes, nostalgia and discovery in perfect balance. Global community tunes in for culture, humour and livid support experience. The only Wrexham podcast of its kind.
Decades?
Not the top 20, the AFL gold standard. George and Ali pair elite research with crisp presentation across the Championship, League One and League Two. Clear, smart and consistently brilliant benchmark listening for serious EFL fans. Notts County Talk.
Ooh.
I'm not even going to... Second tier podcast, the definitive championship show, unrivaled coverage, punchy debate and smart analysis delivered with authority and consistency trusted by listeners across the division. And finally, the Scarf Bagara War, Stockport County's long-running fan-led voice since 2015, weekly episode mix, previews and reviews with interviews and community events like a night with lots of content from them as well. I know Clive's been on there a few times as well, so they're obviously, I'm sure the Notts County podcast will understand the reason why we're not going to read their blowout costs rivalry in that. Shall we read Mansfield?
I think Notts County have a very real chance of winning the subsection, which is podcasts that are completed totally using single-syllable words.
Apparently, they've got a 4.9 star Spotify staple that keeps a connected Notts community buzzing. Oh. Shall we read Mansfield?
That was definitely written by AI.
Shall we read Mansfield Matters? Definitely written by AI, shall we?
Do we have to? Well, before you do, it's written by may have AI, but they've definitely added into that because that's not what I wrote, and but carry on.
Yeah.
Live weekly on Facebook and YouTube, this fan-first stag show blends debates, quizzes, and a prediction league with inclusive panel voices, including a former England blind international.
Shameless.
I didn't include that.
You bloody did.
Specials like Stag Story raise charity funds and celebrate history. Warm, supportive, and thoroughly Mansfield.
That's fair enough.
How long did you spend on
like
AI,
most of
Nathan?
it.
How long did you spend on AI to write that description, Nathan Edge? Come on.
To fill out the nomination, you had to do like a headline, and then you had to do a much longer version. And in the longer version is where I included a bit of info to get us a bit of a simple vote. Thought it might help by saying how inclusive we are, saying we even have a blind person on the panel. I mean, come on, how many podcasts do that for a football show? So I thought I'd go with that card. I did not include that in the headline. I'm telling you right now. But yeah.
Well done, Nath. It was all right. I tell you now, the winners are going to include the Swindon guys and the Scarf Bigara War.
The challenge is going to be we're up against
we'll finish third.
Clive, you've missed the entire point of this. It's a competition, man. We're supposed to win it.
Well, I'll vote for us.
Oh, thanks.
Listen, seriously, in all seriousness, though, Nate, you genuinely didn't tell anyone that you were doing this, so thank you for doing it. Like you and Clem have said from day one we started this podcast, Alfred and away in a weird pre-season game where Cam wouldn't leave us alone. It's never been about winning awards. It's never been about being nominated for awards. It's always been about getting together every single week, having a chat about Mansfield Town FC and creating a space for everyone to share their views on their teams through the highs and lows of what we have to endure on the pitch every single week. So, I think to make it through to the shortlist and to beat, and I mean the word beat in it, you know what I mean, other podcasts to work their absolute nuts off day in, day out to create content every day, to create engaging podcasts, for them not to get shortlisted and for us to get shortlisted over them. I do find a little bit laughable, I'm not going to lie, but I'm really proud of what we've done. We've been slogging away for this for 9 series now. We try and have many different voices. It changes every single year in what we do, but at the core of what we do is always the fact that Mansfield matters, win, lose or draw. So if you guys out there have enjoyed what you've watched or what you've listened to, or the fact that we are, there we're doing something from every week, and we've not just picked it up on the back of promotion. We've not just jumped on the bandwagon and started a Twitter space and dropped it for after 10 minutes because we got bored with it. We've stuck with it through thick and thin. COVID was the worst time for us when we had to change considerably what we had to do. We then did that whole wraparound match day thing.
What do you mean? The COVID Cup, the Sunday sermon.
Exactly.
That was great times, to be fair.
So much stupid stuff on this podcast, so it means the absolute world to me as, the host, the producer, whatever, to be nominated to be nominated for it. So please, if you're out there and you've enjoyed it, spend 2 minutes to go and do it. It's really, really easy to do. The link that you need is in the description. And you'll get, I'm going to share the screen for you, and I'll show you how easy it is to vote for, what we're doing here. So it is this one. So let me just share this on screen. So you should be able to see this on screen now. Can you all see it?
Browser history don't come up.
Nathan can't.
Well, obviously Nathan can't. So you go to the top. You don't even need to have to scroll through every single one. Obviously, there's loads of different categories. All you need to do, go into this top box here, go to Best Podcast, click that. It'll take you down there. You don't need to vote for Premier League. You don't need to vote for international or organisation. Click on Football League. We're right there underneath Life of a Kitman. Obviously, if you're going to go and, if you are voting for them, because they do some good content, to be fair, accidentally slip down one and vote for Mansfield Matters. Click on that, and then you just scroll to the end.
They should be disqualified anyway.
You don't even need to put your name in. You don't need to put your option in. You can just click agree, and then you just click vote now. It's as simple as that. You are done. So that's one vote in for Mansfield Matters now. So after this podcast, go and click that link. We're going to hammer this now for the next God knows how long. I can't remember when voting's voting closes? Where's it? Oh, voting is open now, and you can cast your votes via the Football Content Awards website until October the 12th, Sunday, October the 12th, at a minute to midnight. So we are going to hammer this until then. Please tell your friends. Please vote for us. Do it over and over again if you want. Get us some votes. We're going to go to the award ceremony in Leeds. Really do appreciate it. This is your opportunity now, the three of you, to sell Mansfield Matters reasons why they should vote for us. As the newest member on the current on-screen lineup, Clive, I'm going to let you go first. Why should people vote for Mansfield Matters?
Because anybody who watches Mansfield Matters is incredibly talented and a very versatile viewer. Versatile players, versatile podcasters, versatile viewers. Get your votes cast now.
Cam, as a fellow founding member.
It's nice to have a bit of recognition. I think in the grand scheme of sort of like the Mansfield ecosystem, we've always been, we've been there. We are the founding Mansfield podcast. We've thwarted off near rivals, Twitter Spaces, and God knows what else people decided to create. And we can only thank you guys, because if it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't still be here. We wouldn't do this, because we could just chat like this to each other on our group chat, or it just as like a face-to-face. But the fact that we get to come back every week-ish and just talk all things Mansfield Town, it is just so special to us. And the opportunities that doing this podcast has got us as well, and the people that we've met, and being able to work with other content creators within the Football League podcasting world. But also sort of like just a massive thank you to everybody that's ever took part in this. So even Simon, Mark, people that have joined us in the past who have been here on our journey, and obviously like Nathan and myself have been there from the start. And I think he's too humble to say that it doesn't happen without him. But obviously a massive thank you to Craig, and he won't ever admit that. Obviously, as much as we always say it's our podcast, without him, none of this happens, and he's too humble to admit that.
It's our podcast, it's not mine.
It is our podcast, but
although
without
if we
you,
win, I am keeping the award.
I think that's more than fair, because it goes in the background. But it's just a massive thank you to Craig for putting all this together, and all the different people that have supported us along the way. The club, for Legends Live 2. Capo Lounge for Stag Stories, and Trip Down Memory Lane, and just everywhere that we've been able to go as part of this. We've been to Cleethorpes Beach to interview Stuart Watkiss, and we've been to Sheffield to interview Mickey Balding. We've been here, there, and everywhere. And it without sounding too big, it's nice to finally have some recognition, because the work that we've put in behind the scenes over the last 9 years, nearly 10 years that we've been doing this, has been amazing. And like Craig said, the COVID was a bit of a stretch, but it's just so special. And Nathan, you're a bugger for not telling us about it.
He forgot. He had no idea. Nathan, you did use AI to put the nomination forward, which it's fair enough. Most people would have done, but you can't use AI now to give your sales pitch as to why people should vote for Mansfield Matters.
I mean, I've still had to input AI. He didn't know a lot about us, unfortunately, so I don't think he'd be voting for us, to be fair.
The first thing that came up. No, I'll leave that actually, because I want to end on that.
No, I mean, you know what Cam said there, totally untrue. We don't put any effort into it, but Craig does. So...
No, I don't. We turn up every week and just do stuff about 10 minutes before. There is no effort that goes into this podcast. Actually, no, that's not effort. I grind my balls off every day for this. I've had to quit numerous jobs. I've had to, go on, Nathan.
Exactly. But no, yeah, I mean, you got to vote for us. A vote for us is a vote for Mansfield. Put us on the map. We're up against a lot of championship opposition there. You know, who wants Millwall to win? I mean, I know they gave us Roberts, so we'll give them a bit of gratitude, but and Gregory did a lot of his trade there, so they're good guys, but they don't deserve to win over us. You've got Swindon with their paid professionals who work in doing kits and stuff. They're not allowed to win. It's just for amateurs. We are amateurs. Forget about all those others. Rally behind Mansfield.
We're the Mansfield Matters crew making podcasts just for you.
There it is. Some show up, some disappear, but the Stags bring us all here. So a vote for Mansfield Matters is a vote for our egos. So yeah, please do vote for all things Mansfield Matters. And as Ben says, he can't put this. This pretty much sums up the whole thing, right? And I don't want to say it's this, but the 1 year we make it through. I don't know if anyone's ever nominated for this before, but the 1 year we make it through to the shortlist is based on the back of a season where we've introduced the best feature ever known to a podcast. Nobody else has. I don't see this on Notts County Talk, or whatever it's called. I don't see the Kitman getting their bucket out here. None of them have got a top-class journalistic feature like What's in Craig's Bucket. If you love What's in Craig's Bucket, or if you didn't, it doesn't matter, vote for Mansfield Matters. We're going to be pushing it for the next God knows how many weeks. Seriously, though, we banged on it about enough for now. Please do, though, keep shouting about it. We'll put something out on social media. Share it. Vote. And whatever happens, thank you for your incredible support. And if we don't win, it doesn't, it won't be the end of the... Just to be nominated for me is an absolute honour. What am I talking about? If we don't win, I'm going to be furious. So
if we don't win, we're getting smashed on a night out in Leeds.
There you go. No way we're going to be able to get more votes than someone like Wrexham who's got all that following us, so let's be honest. But Ryan
Reynolds would just be running around buying votes, won't he?
Exactly, but we can try. Or little old Mansfield in the final. I mean, that's all that matters.
Exactly. No, genuinely, I won't be disappointed if we don't win, because there are some phenomenal podcasts in there who actually genuinely do graft day in, day out to put some quality content out there. But please do vote for us, because it'll be, it's a nice thing to have, and just to be nominated is phenomenal. So that's enough of that. We'll bang on more about that next week. Yes, long week ahead. Clive, what have you got planned as you look forward to Rotherham at home? Looking forward to being back at Mill after a week back at sea?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I didn't get to the Stevenage game because I was away on a boat somewhere, but ironically, I was in Norway and I managed to watch the game live.
No way.
On a boat. So it was interesting. But I'm missing my trip to Phil Mill. There's no question about that. So I'm looking forward to it.
Nathan, should be a decent game, but like we said earlier, they've had a bit of a poor start. This is one where, even with our injury-ravaged side, we've got to really be putting the effort in. Anything less than 3 points, I think, would be perhaps deemed as a failure on Saturday as we round off September.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not looking too much into the league at the moment. Obviously, Port Vale had a poor start and look what happened there. So you can't look into it too much at this stage. But at the end of the day, we're playing them at home. It's a bit of a local rival game to a certain extent. So it's a shame it hasn't got that edge that it usually has with, Big Steve at the helm. But
not for Big Steve.
No,
Slimmer Steve
was Big Steve.
Still is Big Steve. Let's be honest. Anyway,
he'll always be Big Steve. But no, it's home match. It's a chance to hopefully bounce back after the late disappointment on Saturday. And like I said, hopefully, despite being low on numbers, we'll be galvanised enough to
ding
go out and get 3 points.
Cam, your views? Absolutely nobody cares, and that is the reason why we will try and win an award. If you love me kicking Cam out at the end of the show, make sure you vote Mansfield Matters. Right, I'm going to do this.
That's all we've got time for on this week's Mansfield Matters podcast. My thanks as ever to the podcast panel and to you guys at home for watching and for listening. Or should we say, that's all we've got time for on this week's award-nominated Mansfield Matters podcast. Yes, the cat is out of the bag. We have been nominated for the Best Football League podcast at the Football Content Awards. The link that you need to vote is in the description. You've got until Sunday, October the 12th. And remember, it's 50% fan voted, so please, please shout about Mansfield Matters and get your friends, your family, or a random stranger in the street to vote Mansfield Matters. Talking of voting and getting involved with things, don't forget to get involved with podcast predictions. The link that you need for that is in the description. You can also take part in the EFL Fantasy League thingy, what's it, my jobby me thing. Don't forget to follow us on social media to find out when we're next going to be live. We'll see you next weekend. Vote Mansfield Matters! Vote Mansfield Matters! Vote Mansfield Matters! There you go, that's my campaigning done. Vote Mansfield Matters.
Oh my God.